Imagine being an almost adult, only to be thrown out of your own home, but going willingly. My life took an unexpected turn after my private journal ignited a family war, revealing harsh truths about love, loyalty, and betrayal. What happens when your deepest thoughts are exposed, tearing apart the very people who claim to care? This isn't just about a diary. It's about the shocking cost of honesty and why sometimes leaving is the only way to truly find yourself. About 8 months ago, I was kicked out of the house I shared with my mom and her husband. I was almost an adult, and to be honest, I left more willingly than my mom would have liked. After what happened, I had no desire to stay. My mom was devastated and has been pushing for us to go to therapy ever since. Now, she wants me to move back in, but I have no intention of doing so. The whole situation exploded because my mom read my private journal. She claimed she was concerned about my behavior and wanted to understand my true feelings, believing I wouldn't be honest if she just asked me directly. Her main concern, she said, was my distant relationship with my toddler half-sister. She pointed out that I usually love children, and she expected me to be a doting big sister. Instead, she felt I only treated my half-sister with basic politeness, not the warmth and closeness of family. She even compared it to the close relationship I have with my 20-year-old brother. My mom told me how much it hurt to read that I didn't actually love my half-sister and that I was only being kind to her to avoid being a jerk. She couldn't understand it and was desperate for me to tell her it wasn't true. She was practically begging me, repeatedly asking me to explain myself, searching for any hint in my words that I genuinely loved and cared for my half-sister as family. Next, she confronted me about what I'd written about her husband. I wrote that he wasn't my dad, that I didn't really like him, and that I didn't see him as family. I just put up with him for my mom's sake. She also mentioned the part where I called him an idiot for demanding I skip my paternal family's wedding just because it was his one day off and he wanted a family day. My mom asked if missing the wedding was really that important to me. I told her it was because he was interfering with my time with my family. She insisted, "But we're a family," to which I replied, "You're my family, and I guess my half-sister is too, but he's just the guy you're married to." At that exact moment, her husband walked in. He had been listening the whole time, and he completely lost it. He screamed that he wanted me out of his house. He yelled that if I saw him as just some guy and his daughter wasn't good enough for me, then I could get out. My mom tried to intervene, saying I wasn't leaving, but he insisted I was. He told me to go be with the family I actually wanted, since I clearly wouldn't even spend one day with him. While they were arguing, I texted my grandpa to come get me and started packing. I made sure to leave behind anything they had ever bought for me, so he couldn't accuse me of taking his money while denying him the title of family. My mom has been trying to get me to come back ever since. She claims that after her time in therapy, she's equipped to help us all bond and become a proper family under one roof again. During a session, the therapist asked if she was forcing me, and my mom said she wanted me to return willingly. That's when I made it clear. I don't want to move back in. I told her I was much happier living with my grandparents and just visiting her. She started crying, saying that's not how we're supposed to become a family. She admitted she thought I would be more open to trying again because she assumed I must have missed them. So, am I the one in the wrong here? The comments are pretty clear. My dad died when I was younger. People are saying my mom completely failed as a parent by choosing this man and my half-sister over me. They think her allowing him to kick me out was a massive betrayal, not to mention invading my privacy by reading my journal and then demanding we discuss its contents. As one person put it, "It's not much of a happy family when your stepdad kicks you out over your private thoughts." The consensus is that my mom doesn't want a happy family. She just wants me to act like a happy daughter, and she isn't putting any pressure on her husband to accept me. People pointed out that my mom already knew how I felt. That's why she read my diary in the first place. Her husband has no actual authority over me, so it was ultimately her decision to deny me the chance to go to my family's wedding. He's just trying to replace my father, and I'm not letting him. The advice is to stay with my grandparents and be prepared for the possibility that my mom will eventually choose him over me completely. Just for some background, I'm a 27-year-old woman who has been surrounded by pets my entire life. Dogs, cats, even rescued baby birds. I've rehomed countless animals, but I've never personally owned a male pet. My mom was always against them because of the marking territory issue, and I guess I just got accustomed to having only female animals. There was also a bad experience when I was about 5. My uncle had a very aggressive male Rottweiler that jumped at me at my grandma's house. It terrified me, and my grandma ended up having to rehome the dog to a large property in another town because no one trusted it around their kids anymore. So, that's where my preference comes from. Anyway, I have a dog named Luna, who I've had since I was 17. She's my world and completely runs my life. Luna isn't very friendly with kids, other dogs, or most men, but she tolerates my boyfriend of 2 years, who's 31. A couple of weeks ago was my birthday, and my boyfriend told me he had a surprise for me that wasn't quite ready yet. Last Friday, I got home from work to find him in my apartment with a 2-month-old male German Shepherd puppy. It had a happy birthday balloon tied to its collar. He just smiled and said, "Do you like him? He's our new son." I was speechless. The first thing I managed to ask was, "Where's Luna?" He told me he'd locked her in the bathroom because she started growling at the puppy. I was absolutely furious. We fought for 2 hours straight, and I ended up telling him to take the puppy and get out. As he was leaving, he yelled at me and even called me a misandrist, as if not wanting a male pet means I hate all men. My friends and family all agree with me, but my boyfriend won't let it go. He keeps sending me videos of the puppy, claiming he doesn't know what to do with it because his apartment doesn't allow pets, especially a large breed like a German Shepherd. He's begging me to take the puppy just until he finds a solution. He argues that I owe him since he spent a lot of money and always intended for the dog to live with me. But I don't want it. My dog Luna would never accept another dog, and from the videos he's sending, I can already see the puppy is becoming destructive. I know the puppy is innocent in all of this, but it's everything I don't want in a pet. I can't help but feel he bought this dog for himself and is now trying to dump the responsibility on me by calling it a birthday gift. Should I just suck it up and take the puppy temporarily? Am I wrong for refusing? The comments are overwhelmingly on my side. People are saying that pets are not gifts, and it was incredibly irresponsible for him to buy a living animal as a surprise. They called him impulsive and selfish and said that at 31, he should know better. The fact that he locked my dog in the bathroom was the final straw for many. The general feeling is that he bought the dog for himself and just slapped a bow on it to make it my problem. Several people also pointed out that a responsible breeder would have a return policy. The fact that he can't just take the puppy back suggests he got it from a backyard breeder, which was another bad decision. As one commenter said, a surprise puppy isn't like a scented candle you can just return. I'm not responsible for the consequences of his poor choices. I'm 28 and my sister is 25. After she graduated from high school, she worked for a year and then spent a year traveling. She worked retail and did DoorDash, and since she was living at home, she claimed she saved up about $40,000. With that money, she car camped across the US, backpacked through Southeast Asia, parts of Africa and the Middle East, most of Europe, and some of Central and South America. She said the entire trip cost her about $20,000. When she got back, she went to community college for a year and a half and got her associate's degree. My sister told me our parents gave her $1,000 for an emergency fund before her trip, which they also did for me during my first year of college. They also bought her textbooks, just like they did for me. But something about her story just doesn't add up. I've always felt like my parents favored her, and I suspect they gave her a lot more money for her travels than they admit. I've confronted them about it, but they swear they only gave her that $1,000. I just don't see how she could have saved so much. During that year she was supposedly working, she seemed to spend most of her time partying, going on dates, planning her trip, and volunteering at the animal shelter. I honestly think she spent more time doing unpaid work there than at her actual job. Now, her 28-year-old boyfriend is moving to Switzerland for a year for work, and she's going with him. And my parents just gave them another $1,000 to help with the move. I found out from my younger sister and just lost my temper. My parents haven't given me a single penny since I graduated from college. When I called them out on it, my mom said it was a gift for a major life milestone. She said they'd give me a similar gift if I decided to move to another country, have a child, or buy a house. But I've hit plenty of milestones. I bought a car, ran a half marathon, and got a pet, and I never received any money for those things. So now my parents are throwing a goodbye party for my sister and her boyfriend, and they invited me. I told them I wouldn't be coming and to let my sister know that I don't want to see her anymore. My parents think I'm being unreasonable and even offered to give me money if I need it that badly. But it's not about needing the money, it's the principle of the matter. My sister has tried to contact me a few times, but I've been ignoring her. Am I being the jerk here? Well, the internet thinks I'm definitely the idiot. Commenters are saying I have zero proof my sister didn't earn that money, and that I'm just making assumptions. They're telling me to grow up and that at 28, I'm acting like a child. By cutting them off, I'm basically telling my family that money is more important to me than they are, and that my relationship with them is purely transactional. People also roasted my list of milestones, pointing out that buying a car or getting a pet is not even in the same league as moving to another country. Running a half marathon is a personal achievement, not a life milestone. The general advice is that I need to get over my petty grudge because I sound like a 10-year-old, not a woman approaching 30. Someone even joked that their parents should have given them $1,000 when they got a dog at 14. They all agree. I'm not entitled to my parents' money, and they can spend it however they want. My boyfriend, who is 28, has what I can only describe as an iced tea addiction. He drinks one specific brand and one specific flavor, and nothing else. If he can't get it, he becomes incredibly grumpy. I never really minded. Everyone has their quirks, and I figured a specific iced tea was harmless enough. The issue is, this particular tea is only sold at one specific supermarket chain, and sometimes our local store doesn't even have it in stock. We don't own a car, but luckily, I work at a supermarket that usually carries his tea. So, I'm the one who always brings it home after my shift. This often means I'm lugging 6 to 8 1.5-liter bottles on my commute, which involves walking, taking a train, and then riding my bike. He is overweight, and while I've never made a big deal about his appearance, I do worry about his health and the risk of heart problems. He has promised to lose weight and gradually switch to water, but he claims he gets severe headaches and migraines whenever he goes without his iced tea. He blames it on a sugar addiction and says it's too difficult to quit. I believe him that it's hard, but there has to be a better way. We've tried switching to a sugar-free iced tea brand that he tolerates, but he always ends up going back to his usual sugary kind. This is where my problem starts. He gets angry with me whenever his tea isn't available, and I suggest he drink water or the sugar-free alternative we have at home. What's also bothering me is his refusal to go to the supermarket alone. He works from home, while I'm on my feet for 8 hours a day and already bring home most of our groceries. So when I get home and tell him I'm too tired to go out again, he gets grumpy and complains. When we're out of his iced tea, he insists that I go with him to the store. I hate walking to the supermarket. I prefer to go by bike, but he doesn't have one and refuses to get one. We already end up going grocery shopping together about 3 times a week, but I'm not about to go every single day. I'm starting to refuse to go with him just because he doesn't want to go alone, especially when the only reason for the trip is to get his stupid iced tea. So, am I the bad guy for pointing out he has other things to drink at home? And am I wrong for refusing to go back out to the store with him after a long day at work just for his tea? The comment section had a big revelation for me. It's not the sugar, it's the caffeine. People are pointing out that black tea has a lot of caffeine, and at the amount he's drinking, he's definitely going through caffeine withdrawal, which causes those intense headaches. One person said the headaches feel like an ice pick through your skull. They also warned that drinking that much tea puts him at high risk for kidney stones, which are incredibly painful. Someone else, who seems to be a medical professional, suggested it could be both caffeine and sugar, especially if he's pre-diabetic. His body might be so used to high blood sugar that normal levels make him feel sick. But beyond the health issues, everyone agrees on one thing. I shouldn't be dating a grown man who can't even go to the supermarket by himself. As one commenter put it, if he needs a chaperone to grab a drink, how can he handle any real-life responsibilities? It's not about the iced tea anymore. It's about his complete lack of independence. I got married last Sunday. From the very beginning of our planning, my husband and I decided on a no-kids wedding, with the only exception being for infants who are still nursing. There were several reasons for this. Our venue was small, it had a balcony with a low, potentially unsafe railing, and every single guest had an assigned seat to make the meal service run smoothly. On top of that, each extra guest cost $75, a price we simply couldn't afford to add. My sister, Lisa, who is 33, has a very energetic toddler. She asked me on 3 separate occasions to make an exception for her child, and each time I politely said no. I explained that it was about logistics, safety, and budget, not a reflection on her kid. She was clearly irritated, but eventually seemed to accept it. Then came the wedding day. I was in the bridal suite getting ready when my wedding coordinator knocked on the door. She informed me that Lisa had arrived with her toddler and a stroller. Because her child wasn't on the guest list, the venue staff wouldn't let her in without my explicit permission. The coordinator explained that if we were to accommodate them, it would mean rearranging 2 entire tables and throwing off the caterer's schedule. I'm not proud of my reaction, but I told the coordinator to stick to our original policy. They gave Lisa a couple of options. She could attend the ceremony and then leave before the reception, or she could go home, drop off her child, and then return. Instead, Lisa became furious, accused me of humiliating her, and left, missing the entire wedding. Afterward, my parents told me I should have been more flexible for family. Lisa sent me a text saying I made her feel like a second-class guest and that I prioritize rules over people. I apologized for how public the situation became, but I told her I stood by my decision. Now I'm wondering if I was too strict. Maybe I should have called her that morning to confirm her plans, or even offered to help arrange a babysitter. Her excuse is that her childcare fell through at the last minute, and she feels I forced her to choose between being a mother and being a sister. So, was I in the wrong? Most people are saying I'm not the one in the wrong. They believe her childcare didn't fall through at all. She likely never arranged it and just planned to bully her way in, assuming I'd given on my wedding day. The advice is to stop engaging with her about it. I've already apologized for her feeling embarrassed, and continuing to justify my decision only weakens my position. I had a clear rule. I warned her multiple times, and she was given reasonable options on the day of. People also noted that my mom taking my sister's side might be a sign of favoritism. And a few people asked the important questions. Where's the child's father in all of this? And did she even have a wedding outfit for the kid? However, there was a dissenting opinion. One commenter asked what the big deal is with kids at weddings, saying, "She's your sister and your nephew." They questioned if it was worth creating a massive rift in my family, possibly one that can't be repaired. They basically said that if I truly loved my sister, I would have made an exception.